Hi, folks. Got an absolutely fantastic guest here with me today. It's Richard Donaldson of the Great British National Strike, taking place on May the 24th. Now, Richard did an interview with me a couple of months ago, which was very, very popular. He's putting on this national strike. And so for viewers who haven't sort of seen that previous interview, Richard, tell us why you're putting on the strike.
Oh, well, we've got six main reasons. So well, obviously we can break them down. We've got illegal immigration, net zero, the attack on our freedom of speech, attacking our farmers, and the inheritance tax. And not just, the inheritance tax that the farmers are being absolutely hammered with, but inheritance tax for everyone. The rape gangs, the Pakistani rape gangs in particular, that I don't feel have been addressed properly. And then the attacks on our most vulnerable. So things like the recent HIP announcements, the cuts for those. So yeah, there are six main points. We had to pick a few. Obviously, there's lots going on, but we had to pick our battles, and that's the ones that we went with.
It's been going on for a little while now. You're getting close to the date. Tell me what has happened to you and what has been the response to this?
Oh, mate, there's been every kind of response you could imagine. There's been so much support. So, I mean, what are we now? 7 weeks. I think we're tomorrow will be our eighth week. So we'll be 2 months in tomorrow. And we're pushing on for sort of 300,000 followers now across our platform. So loads and loads of support. There's been some negativity as well. I'll just be honest. I've been hacked a couple of times. I'm on my fourth phone number. We've had death threats. The police have been in touch. People have threatened my son. I've got a 2-year-old son, so there's been things there. Interestingly, from the right, so I've always said everybody's welcome. Everybody come along, regardless of your political beliefs, your race, your religion, all the rest of it. We're all facing a very real enemy, the same enemy, if you like, a common enemy. So I've said, everybody get involved. Everybody's welcome. As long as you're a legal citizen of this country, come along. Now, on the right, everyone's really sort of positive and everyone's really sort of welcoming. And they've said, yeah, regardless of who you are, etc., if you're concerned about this country, if you are a legal citizen of this country, come along. The more, the merrier. I've tried to keep it as sort of apolitical as possible and down the middle. The left at the moment, I'm sad to say, they just don't want to know. They just don't want to know. I'm a racist. I'm a fascist. I'm a bigot. Yeah, it's been nuts. So every kind of response you could imagine.
So when you say that you've had death threats, I mean, are they serious or is it just like a sort of a troll who's having a go and then they're targeting your child as well? I mean, that's pretty low, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think regardless of what you think of anyone, my worst enemy would never have to fear me going after their child because it just simply isn't what you do.
No.
It's just not what you do. So, of course, whenever children are mentioned, it does hit a bit of a soft spot. I'm going to be completely honest, but
Yeah.
I'm keeping it in mind that these people, they're just trolls. They're just trolls on the internet. They're either very sad, very lonely. They feel like they've got a lot of anger. And a lot of them just say things because it makes them feel better. If they think they can drag you down, if you're trying to do anything positive, if they feel they can drag you down, it makes them feel better about themselves. So I don't take it too seriously. It's going to happen. I put myself out there. I was expecting it. So it is what it is. We keep pushing forward.
Yeah, I mean, you seem quite upbeat because, I mean, to organize a national strike in, I don't know how many cities it is, but it's a load of
All,
cities, all of them, right,
all
is a huge amount of work. I mean, how do you cope with that?
Yeah, it's not just me. So a lot of people seem to think it's just me doing this, and it's not. So initially, I put a team together of 20 people. I had to vet people, and I sort of put a video out saying, get in touch if you want to be responsible, if you want to help to sort of do the admin for your local city, then please do that. And loads of people got in touch, but very quickly we had people with quite nefarious intentions. So we had people getting in touch who wanted to help their city. Once they sort of infiltrated
Yes.
what it is that we're doing, they started to do things to bring us down. So at the moment, I have got three very lovely ladies who are absolutely fantastic. Honestly, I'm going to be completely honest with you because that's what I always intend to do. There have been points during the past 8 weeks where I thought, oh, God, what am I doing here? I'm waiting for a knock on the door from the police. Of
Yeah.
course I am. That's going to happen. I don't really care what happens to me, but I've got a son, I've got a wife, I've got my family, I've got my friends, and they don't want the names out there. They've got jobs, they've got careers, etc. but I've got 3 ladies now who are helping me to do the admin and the organising and the emails, and they're going through the messages and all the rest of it. So it's not just me doing this. I'm probably doing sort of 25-30% of this, and they're doing the other 70. Do you know what I mean? So we're a small team, but we're getting through it. Yeah, we're busy.
Yeah, I think that's the difficulty. I mean, you know, when people stand up, they probably have the courage to do it on their own, but there is that thing with family, isn't there? You know, if you've got a kid or, you know, your wife and this and the other, it makes it much more difficult in a way to stand up, because if you're just a single person, you're standing up on your own, you think, well, all right, I'll take it, whatever happens if I get thrown into jail and this, that and the other. But as somebody who's got dependents, responsibilities, that's quite a difficult position to be in.
Yeah, it is. It's a difficult one, because anything I do now is going to have potentially a short-term to medium-term effect on my family and ultimately on my son. You know, he's the most important thing for me. But what is the alternative of us not standing up? What is what country, what sort of life is he going to be inheriting further down the line if we don't stand up? So it's a tough one, but I think I'm making the right decision. And
your wife must be very brave as well, if she, you know, she's supporting you and standing behind you, or alongside you, I should say.
Yeah, she's such a good woman. She's the most amazing mother. She's the most amazing wife. She's so supportive. Anything I do, she's very sort of, with regards to the strike, she's very sort of, she listens and she says, "Oh, right, okay," and you can see that she's processing it and she's thinking, "Oh no, what do I do next?" I'm already planning phase 2, so the strike is phase 1. There's 3 phases altogether,
Right.
which we can get onto. Phase 2, I don't like to use the word extreme. It's much more in depth, and it involves people doing a lot more to step up to the plate, as it were. So she sort of is aware of what I'm planning for phase 2, and
You're stepping it up. You're stepping it
yeah,
up.
she knows I'm going to do it anyway. So she's doing her best to be on board. Bless her.
Well, it's very admirable. I mean, so is phase 1, is that kind of like the on May 24th? Is that like almost like a test, you know, in a way to see if there's a level of support?
Yeah, it's lots of things. So again, being completely honest, it's a bit of a marketing campaign. It
Yeah.
is, because I need to sell myself to the people. People don't know who I am. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not, you know, I'm nothing like that. So I need to create a bit of a movement where I'm not asking too much of people. I'm asking them to come out for one day to spend cash. You know, if they want, they can bring cakes and flasks of tea, etc., and just turn up, and let's create a community, a real community where we, the people, regardless of your background, regardless of who you are, where you're from, as long as you're a legal citizen of this country, let's all stand together and recognise the fact that we all have a common enemy. So this phase 1 is essentially me trying to sell myself to the people, and the idea of us coming together as a community and creating a movement and just getting people out there. We're selling merch, I'm being completely
Yes.
honest.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of stick for that. So everything that we're selling now we're not making a profit off it. It's all being sold.
Why are you getting, sorry to interrupt, well, why are you getting stick for selling merch? Because you have to survive as a person. You've got costs with organising the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, what's the criticism?
The criticism is, so we've got a GoFundMe and a merch store. Now, the GoFundMe has been put together so that we can have a bit of money put to one side for potential legal costs, because let's be honest, it's going to happen at some point. It just is. Yeah. I'm not a rich man. I drive trucks for a living. Okay.
Right.
So there was that. There was the cost of advertising. You probably know yourself. If you want to advertise anything on social media, the cost of things out there is I can't afford that. There's logistical things as well. So things like, I've had to buy a microphone because the audio quality when I was doing that was dreadful. Right now, this was 15 quid off Amazon. It does the job, so I'm not splashing out. There's lots of little things. We've got graphics designers, and it takes a lot of time to get things like that put together. Things cost money, so the GoFundMe side of it was for that. Now the store, whether people just don't believe me or what. So last month, what I did was, because we're 8 weeks in tomorrow, I put screenshots up last month of all the money that's come in and then all the money that's gone out, and I posted it up and I said, look, just so you're well aware, complete transparency. This is the money that's come in. This is the money that's gone out. Now on the store, we're not making any money. We're doing it at
Right.
cost price. Okay,
Oh,
that's
that's good.
purely because when we get photos, when the press do turn up, which they will, it'll be your scummy rags, but they will turn up. When we're live streaming, when we're taking photos and videos, we're uploading it to social media. This is going to be everywhere. We're selling flags, t-shirts, car stickers, pins, you name it. We're selling it all to get the name out there so that when these photos do go up, it's not men in football t-shirts, if you like, because the names have been created there. It's black people, white people, it's people from every background, every race coming together and showing that actually under the Great British National Strike, we're all unified. So that's why we're doing that as well. The problem we have is people are always going to say, you're just on a grift. You're just trying to make money. Okay. I am considerably poorer since I started this.
Through people don't realise, do
they? Through issues I've had with my job. Can't really talk too much about that for obvious reasons. And the fact that a lot of people also don't realise, so we'll get off the merch stuff in a minute because it's boring, but for every item that somebody buys on the store, because it's drop shipping, this gets printed on demand, whether it's a flag, a t-shirt, whatever. I pay for that up front. So when we're getting hundreds, thousands of orders, which we are getting, I have to pay for that. I have to credit card that up front.
Yeah.
And then in a week or two's time, Shopify, who we're doing it through, they send the money back. And then I get to pay the credit card back off. So at the minute, with family, I'm begging, stealing, borrowing to get it all. So
people don't realise, I mean, I know you say it's maybe not so interesting talking about the merch and stuff like that, but people don't realise the commitment that you have to make. It's not just emotional, mental. Often it's financial. Whether it be travelling to, like you say. So it's huge. Now, one of the things I was going to ask is what actually happens on the day, because often when you go to like a march or something, there'll be people doing speeches and all that. Is there speeches, or is it just a general get together? What do people do when they get there, or do they just try and get on with people? How does it work?
Yeah, so we've got quite a few people going to different locations who are going to be doing speeches. We've got a few. We've tried to keep completely apolitical, but there are a few members of parliament who and parliamentary candidates who are going to be turning up. There's lots of citizens who have come forward and they've said, look, I've written a song, so I want to perform some of my music, which I think that's fantastic. We're all going to turn up in our locations. We're going to stand together, united. We're going to show our enemies. And when I say our enemies, I mean, the government, etc., that we will not be broken. We will all stand united. We do not need to be told how to do this. We can do this ourselves. If everybody just turns up, with the mind frame that we're going to be united. And I've said to people, strike up conversations with strangers. Everybody you make eye contact with, smile and say hello. It sounds really pink and fluffy, but in order to build anything going forward, a movement like this, you need a strong foundation. And the strongest foundation we can have is unity and building an actual community, a real community where we say, do you know what? We all want the same things here. So I need people to turn up, first of all, have fun. I've said things like bake your cakes and your flasks of tea and coffee, bring them along. Let's create a party environment. Do you know when we used to have the Jubilees back in the day? Everybody would come out into the streets and it'd be like a party atmosphere. I've said no alcohol for obvious reasons. No face coverings, nothing like that. Please, please, please don't turn up in like football t-shirts and all the rest of it with cans of Stella in your hand. Obviously, don't go robbing Greggs and all the rest of it, or Pret a Manger if you're feeling a bit, a bit posh. None of that. Let's keep it completely peaceful, completely civilized, with complete unity, and let's show those at the top that we won't be divided, we won't be broken, and we're all going to stand together. So that's what I need people to do.
Do you think that, and I think I may have asked this before, but do you think the British people have got it in them to stand up? I mean, it was interesting with the local elections last week that only sort of 30% voted, and you would think when you've got a government which is not liked at the moment that people will be racing into the booth to vote against the government. That there is an apathy in this country. Do you think you'll get support, and do you think people will get off the backsides and come out?
All I can do is my best, and then hope and pray that on the day I'm not stood there with the Great British National Strike flag by myself. Probably in the rain, because let's face it, we're in the UK. We've had some good weather recently, but all I can do is my best and hope and pray that people turn up. And we've got we've had so many people sort of starting their own sort of groups and they're advertising it themselves. Mainstream media won't touch us. It's just, it is what it is. The problem we have at the minute is, and it's reflective in my analytics as well, so you'll be able to see it yourself when you're on your YouTube, like who's following you from where, you know, predominantly male followers, female, etc. 70% of all my followers are female.
Is it really?
Yeah, and this isn't to knock females and to say that females aren't important in what we're doing. Everyone's important, of course. However, it's a sign of I think it's a sign of the times, because one or two things is happening. Either more females are using social media on the whole,
yeah,
or men just aren't stepping up to the plate at the minute. I think we're part of a system that's been very, very cleverly put together, where anything masculine is sort of demonized, anything protective is demonized, it's toxic, etc., etc. A lot of men are very fearful, because a lot of men, they've got to provide for their families. Obviously, women are providing as well, but men are seen as the providers, the protectors. They just are. So a lot of men at the moment don't seem to be stepping up to the plate. There are a lot of men who are, but at the moment, it's mostly women that are
That's really interesting, because when and I don't know what your views were, and we won't go into about the whole COVID thing. The majority of people who struck against that were women. And I used to cover a lot of the marches of people who didn't want to put the masks on and everything else like that. And mainly there were women. And it is women that seem to be standing up a lot more these days. And like you say, I think it's due to a kind of demasculization of it all, isn't it? It's how we are in university and everything else like that. That being a man now is all no, you know.
Yeah, it's been very cleverly put together, I think, to essentially they want to, everything that's happening at the moment, or anything that's been happening in the past sort of, particularly sort of 10 to 15 years, has been to muddy the waters between sort of gender and all the rest of it, but also attacking any sort of man who is masculine, toxic masculine. What is toxic masculinity? You know, he's either a bad guy or he's not. You know, he's either a nefarious character or he's not. There's nothing toxic about masculinity and wanting to protect what you care about. There's nothing wrong with that.
No. How do you feel about taking on the role of leader? Because obviously there has to be like a central focus on a party in a way, if you're a political party and all that. How does that rest on your shoulders? Do you enjoy it? Does it sort of frighten you? How are you taking that on board?
Mate, there's every sort of feeling. So obviously I'm very proud of what not just what I'm doing, because it's not just me. Like I say, I've got my small team as well. I'm very proud of what we're doing. I'm very proud that so many people are joining us. So many people are signing up and they're declaring that they're going to be coming, and you know they're on the social media and all the rest of it. So I'm very proud. It's frightening. It does weigh heavy on my shoulders, because a lot of people are looking to me for support. You say one wrong thing, and so many people lose any sort of trust. I did an interview with Jim Ferguson a couple of weeks ago, where, again, I'm just being completely honest. I'm just sticking to my gut, and I'm saying what I mean. I've lost quite a lot of trust in Reform. I will still be voting for them as it stands at the moment, because I think they're the least worst party. But I've lost quite a bit of trust in them.
Yeah.
The comments that I had from people who were following this, we lost like 5,000 followers in a day.
Really?
On the Facebook
No, I
page.
think it's a valid point. Because, I mean, I voted Reform in the local elections, but as a YouTuber, they used to welcome me to the thing. And I interviewed Richard Tice, and I interviewed a few people in the party, and they actually used some of my videos in their publicity and this, that, and the other. But when I went to a recent local gathering where Richard Tice was, I wasn't allowed entry as a YouTuber. So. Which was interesting. I haven't really done a video about it. I may well. That they didn't want people like myself, YouTubers now, who supported the party, who'd actually done videos for them to, supporting them. So I've kind of lost it a little bit with Reform, although they're the best of the, and I would vote for them. And I did vote for them. But it is interesting. So you got a bit of stick there, did you? Like you lost supporters?
Oh, massively, yeah, massively. And it is what it is. I'm just being honest. And if I start sort of, twisting my own words, or trying to say things to appease people, then I'm not sticking to the mission, am I? So I'm just going to be completely honest. If people don't like what I have to say, well, you know what? at least I've been upfront, So there's been, again, quite a lot of positive. There's been a lot of negative as well. A lot of people don't understand why we're doing it on a Saturday, why I've called it a strike. I've said it time and time again.
Do you want to say that again in case people who haven't watched it? I know you've done this ad infinitum. There's been a lot of criticism why it's on a Saturday, but there is specific reasons for this.
Yeah, there's loads of reasons. So it puts the least amount of strain on the people turning up because chances are they're going to be off work anyway. It's a bank holiday weekend. It puts the most amount of strain on the big businesses and the large corporations. If you do a strike on a random Tuesday in the middle of, your local city, chances are most people aren't going to see it, the people who aren't involved, because they're going to be at work. Doing it on a Saturday means the maximum amount of exposure. You'll have so many lots of people have never heard of the Great British National Strike. They will be in their local city, shopping, doing whatever it is they're doing. And they'll see this. They'll see this in every city centre. So that's another thing why to do it on a Saturday as well.
So can I ask you where you're going to be, or do you not want to reveal the location of where you're going to be, or are you going to be like on election day where you fly into different locations and stuff,
I've said now, so I'm from Chester. So I will be in Chester on the day. Right. Whether I spend a couple of hours there, leave, go somewhere else, I don't know. Initially I was told don't, getting death threats, all the rest of it. I don't take them too seriously, but there's we put a post up on a few sort of local Chester groups on Facebook. We've been blocked, they got taken down, and then the left-leaning sort of posts are all sort of rallying together now to come on the day and give me a load of either. Not bothered. So initially I wasn't going to tell people where I was going to be, but I'm past the point. I refuse to be intimidated. So I'm going to be in Chester. It's just whether I go to Liverpool, Manchester, etc. on the day as well.
What is the left's basis of criticism of you? What's their main thing? Is it their go-to thing of racism and this, that, and the other? But which is ridiculous because you're encouraging all different breeds, colours to come along. I don't get why are they so anti you?
It's almost like this sort of cult mentality where they've been very vocal and they've said that they think I'm a racist, they think I'm a fascist and a bigot and all the rest of it. And then I've pointed them to my videos where I've said, "But everybody's welcome. So where is the racism?" And they're saying, "Oh, you're just saying that, but you don't really mean it." So it's an argument that you're never going to win, regardless of what you say. They've got their ideas of who I am and what I'm about. They're completely wrong. But I mean, that's the left for you, I suppose.
Yeah. How are you viewing our wonderful Prime Minister at the moment? Are you deeply satisfied with everything that he's doing?
Oh, he's fantastic. He's fantastic. I have never had so much hatred and disdain for somebody I've never met.
It's weird that he brings that out, isn't it? And I think it's the sort of I can't even work it out. It's the pompousness. It's the the assurance that he's completely right all the time, and yet he's going in completely the wrong direction. He's alienating the British people. I don't know.
Yeah, it's he completely misses the mark. It's like he's completely detached from the people who voted for him. I mean, let's face it, he got elected based on he defrauded the nation. He got elected based on a load of lies. And he doesn't even seem to be even remotely apologetic for it. He almost sort of basks. He sort of bathes in this hatred that everybody's got for him. He's got this stupid, smug look on his face, and he just, 1 minute. Obviously, there's a lot of pros and cons to the announcement that's just been made with regards to Indian people who essentially are going to be working in the UK. I think it's tax-free, or is it just the national insurance that I need to look into it more?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the national insurance for definite, yeah.
But that comes out, it causes a huge amount of outrage, and rightly so. But then the following day, he's on X talking about how he's secured loads more British jobs through deals made. And everyone's like, yeah, but these are jobs for large companies who now are going to be hiring Indian people because it's 20% cheaper for them to do it per person.
Yeah.
So he just his timing. I just do not like that, man.
So do you respond to sort of comments that people make? I mean, I'm looking at a load of comments on our last interview, and a lot of people are supporting you. Thank God we have someone like you. This is Diane Fletcher, like you, who stands up to the British government. My husband is ex-forces, and my dad was in the UK Guards. My dad will be turning in his grave how our country is today. I think that's very representative of how people think. You have a lot of support when I'm looking through comments from the older generation. Would you say, I mean, you've said women, but the older generation, I think, will be quite behind you.
Yeah, because I think a lot of what it is that we're pushing at the Great British National Strike is that sort of old school. We're harking back to better days, aren't we? When
Yeah.
things used to be, I'm pushing a very sort of British message. Schools now, a lot of what's on the curriculum is how Britain is the bad guy. Britain is the bad guy, sorry. And how anything British is racist, and we're demonized for being British now. And a lot of children are being delivered that message, and a lot of the younger lot carrying that with them, that it's wrong to have pride in your country because it's racist. So
tell us
yeah,
why you've got pride in the country. Well, what is it about the country that you love?
it's the people. It's very hard to have pride in our country at the minute, but what people need to realize is that those who represent the country aren't the country. So it's very easy at the moment to say, God, this country's gone to the dogs. Oh, I hate this country. Oh, it's not the country. We have a fantastic country. This is Great Britain. It's those who are representing our country, if you like, in Parliament. We need to try and distinguish from the fact that actually what we've got here is it's a brilliant country. It's just at the moment people aren't happy with how things are at the moment, and I understand that. But let's try to, how would I word this? Let's try to be a bit more optimistic and realise that nothing lasts forever. Labour aren't going to be in forever, but we're at a point now where I think we're on the precipice of, we need to make a decision now of which side we choose, because if we don't stand up, if we don't voice our concerns, if we don't have pride in our country, if we aren't protective of our country, I can't really see a way back.
Where do you think that you've got this feeling from? Were you brought up in a certain way? Well, why have you got such a pride in your country and its people? Is that from your background? Is that from your parents? Or where's that from?
I think it's just a mixture of everything. I mean, I joined the army twice. I did 2 years. I was in the infantry. I got injured, left the army, got a medical discharge. I was out the army for 5 years. I worked on Civvy Street. And then I joined the army again. I went back in. I went into logistics. I worked with the intelligence corps for a little bit. And I did another 6 years in the army. I've always wanted to do what I can for my country, because I love my country. I've just never known quite how to do it. And particularly since I had a son 2 years ago, you become so selfless as a parent, or if you're a good parent, I think you do. I think that's your obligation. You should be selfless. Everything you do should be for your child, your children. You sort of have a new perspective on things when you have children. And all of a sudden it wasn't about me anymore. And, my girlfriend and then my wife, who's my wife now, it wasn't about us just getting through, this week, next month, etc. It was about my son's future. So my son being born was a massive turning point for me to start getting more involved.
I've only got about 5 minutes left. So tell us, are you allowed to tell us a little bit about phase 2 and phase 3, or is that something you're going to hold back until after the event?
So I spoke to a lot of people who are going to be involved, and we've come to the conclusion that, based on the fact that I've been hacked several times and it's been confirmed by my internet service provider, etc., it's best at the moment to keep our cards close to our chest. But what I will say is, phase 1 is going to happen, and I've said the government are going to get 48 hours to essentially make contact with us. I know it's very out there, and I know it's very sort of, as if the government are going to contact you in 48 hours. Who do you think you are? You're a nobody. I get that. I don't think they're going to contact us. Of course they're not. But that is when phase 2 is initiated, and that's when the plans will come out.
Oh, you're going to get into deep waters, aren't you? I can see it. Look,
Honestly.
look, I think and I say to anybody watching this, look, whatever your viewpoints are, people who stand up and are there to be counted. I mean, this young man is one of those, and he should have support, and the left should look a little bit more closely at what he's trying to do. He's just trying to improve the lives of British people, so support him. So let's just go to certain details. If people want to support you, where do they go? What do they look at?
So you can go onto Facebook, you can go onto TikTok, you can go onto X, and literally just type in the Great British National Strike.
Yes.
You can Google it now. We've had news articles made about us. They're scummy rags, but we've been in the news, so that's a win. You can Google us, yeah, and Facebook, X, all of our socials come up. We've got a website.
And the other thing to say is this is a non-racist movement. It's not far right. I mean, I've got a thing here and a comment from Charmless8358. I'm a mixed race 17-year-old boy. I am British. I love my country. My dad is an immigrant who served for 12 years in the British Army and 20 years in the NHS. He is a proud British man. We all need to come together and show that we want our country, that we love our country. We are one Britain. And there is a load of messages like that from mixed race people who came over the Windrush generation and stuff like that, who are behind your movement, which I think is fantastic.
Good. That gives me shivers reading things like that. Genuinely, we had a. I'll let you go in a minute. I know we're pushed for time. We had a comment on TikTok. He was a Pakistani man. He said, "Look, I'm Pakistani. I've only been here a couple of years. Am I allowed to come along? Am I welcome?" And everybody was straight in the comments, and they were absolutely right when they said, "Mate, you've come here. You're not happy with what's happening. You've adopted our way of life, the British standards, values, laws, etc. You are one of us. You are one of us, and that's what we stand for."
Yeah, it's about just incorporating yourself into the British way of life. So it's totally non-racist. I wish you huge success. I'm going to go to the one in London, which I look forward to, which I think is just outside Downing Street. So anybody watching this, do support him, Richard. Give him a chance, see what you think, and check him out on TikTok. Very big on TikTok, huge on TikTok, and he's only going to get bigger. I think he's going to be a national treasure very soon. So thank you very much, Richard, for all your hard work, and good luck with it on the 24th.
Thank you very much.